my first 240. I was young, and a guy said, hey, I got this real cool sports car that I'll just sell it to you for like 500 bucks. I'm like, oh, okay. So I pulls it out of a barn, and it's just a rust bucket, and it's this lime green, and I just loved it because it was a sports car.
Keith is a previous customer. He came in before. We did a 370Z for him. We did a candy apple red and black, and he was so blown away by that, he went out to find another car for us to do. The car that he went to find was the one that he had in college, was a 71 Datsun 240z. He had a lime green one, and he was really determined to have another lime green one until he found this car. So finding a good candidate for a restoration was the hard part. Most of them are ragged out and rusted or modified to race cars and stuff like that. So he found a good one in Minnesota, and it was all red. And since it was all red, he decided he was going to keep it all stock and go back to stock. So he brought it down from Minnesota, drove it around for a little bit. It had some issues on the engines. It had some issues on the clutch.
The car ran and drove, had a little nuances. These cars have a mechanical throttle. So over time they get kind of gummy and a little sticky, so it'll make it hard to drive, especially being a manual car when you're trying to feather the gas in the clutch. It really makes it tricky, but the car ran, the car drove. It did have a pretty crusty fuel tank. It had a lot of rust and debris in there over time. So we had the tank sent out, cleaned, refurbished, did a new fuel pump, new fuel filter, some of the basic things like that. But other than the rusty fuel tank, not a whole lot. The car is actually pretty sound mechanically.
We thought the body was pretty solid when we first got it, but when we paint things here, we strip them all the way down and start over. When we stripped it all the way down, we found all the sins that were underneath it that had gone on with some rust in the rear quarters. The doors were rusted, the hatch was rusted. Not horribly that it couldn't have been fixed, but cost-wise, it was better to replace those parts. So we replaced the door, we replaced the hatch, we got new glass for it. Things like that, sometimes it's just not worth fixing, it's just worth getting another one.
The Datsuns are notorious for creating big cracks in the dash and turns into a big crevice. We opted to send that out to Just Dashes, and they completely redid the dash for us. We also replaced the headliner, and it's got a vinyl trim that goes around the perimeter. It got new door panels. We replaced the foam in the seats, but the customer wanted some of the original interior put back in it, so the sides of the hump were still original. The seat covers themselves are original, even though they're showing a little wear. We put new foam in it so they'll be comfortable to sit in. It got a new carpet on the floor and the cargo area.
Everyone kind of has their own reasons on why they like them or why they think they're cool, but I think that it was just kind of a change in pace for the Japanese cars when they came to America. They were no longer just that economy car to get you from A to B. It was something that you probably actually want to drive.